Don't forget to check out and grab your copy of our 2 newly released books, Football, a Love Story, and What Did Football Teach Me? These books feature over 100 stories from current and former coaches, players, executives, and entertainers from across the football landscape, describing what got them involved in the game, what they love about it, and what life lessons the game taught them. You can find your copy or order your copy from our website at footballgameplan.com/books. Welcome to NFL Game Plan. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bring you our Week 7 preview between the New Orleans Saints and the Indianapolis Colts. And I'm going to be joined by our Football Game Plan analyst, Teron Davenport, Gene Clemens, and also Chris James. But first, let's start this video off by taking a look at my keys to victory. Starting with the Saints in this ball game, I believe third down defensive excellence has to continue. They did a great job last game versus Atlanta getting off the field on third downs, and if they can't do that versus Indianapolis, they have a very good passing game themselves, and they can do a lot of damage throwing the football. So it's imperative for the Saints defense to get off the field on third downs, and they can't play the 2011 offense with 2015 weapons. Back then, the Saints had tremendous talent on the flanks, a lot of deep threats, a lot of guys that were able to generate big plays in the passing game. They don't have the same luxury of talent in this season, so I would say lean more on the ground game and then operate off play action. Try to run your offense sort of like the Saints ran it back in 2006, 2007, because right now they're trying to play 2011's offense with 2015 weapons. And I think they have to continue to play winning special teams both in the return department and the coverage department. It's going to be important to force this Colts offense to go the length of the field, so it's important for their punting unit to make sure they pin these guys deep on their own end. And for the Colts in this ball game, I really like their 3 tight ends that they have at their disposal: Dwayne Allen, Kobe Fleener, and also Jack Doyle. I think if they can utilize all 3 in some form or fashion, both in the running game and also in the passing game, they can do a lot of damage to the Saints defense, especially at the second and third levels. And you also want to force those Saints defensive backs to communicate. That's where New Orleans is struggling right now versus the past. They don't communicate. They don't pass guys off effectively. I think if the Colts can run different crossers, different high-low concepts, they can have a lot of success. And this goes without saying. This is for the entire football team. They have to minimize the mistakes. No turnovers, no penalties. Get off the field on third downs. Don't beat yourself. And if they're able to do these things on a consistent basis, not just in this game, but for the rest of the season, I think the Colts can get back on track and not only win this ball game, but win a lot of games moving forward. This week versus the New Orleans Saints is going to be important for Indianapolis to take away one of the staple plays, big plays in the Saints passing game away. I'm going to show you what we're talking about here. And we know this formation when we've seen it from New Orleans. They love to put either C.J. Spiller in the backfield and get him on a wheel route. So what they're trying to do is run this tight end up and cross face. I'm going to try to cross face with the receiver as well, trying to get all of the defensive side of the ball to influence, thinking, okay, they're going this way. They're trying to run, let's say, an in or a crosser across the field, and they try to leak C.J. Spiller down on the wheel route and hit a big play. This actually won the game for them versus the Dallas Cowboys, and they'll try to, keep things outside here and do different things on this side of the ball. Not really important because all of the action is going this way, so they'll run these guys off down the field and try to bring guys across the formation and get him free. So if you're Indianapolis, and you know this play is coming by personnel, by alignment, you see these guys tight to the line of scrimmage, you see C.J. Spiller offset in the shotgun, they're probably going to run this wheel route. So if you're the Colts and what you try to do to protect yourself, you want to beat the Saints at their own game. You want to get them thinking that, okay, yeah, this guy is going to follow him, and this safety is going to drop in the middle of the field to get over this crosser. But what you're doing, you're rotating toward this play to take it away and hopes to get an interception with this safety. So what you're going to do, the first thing you're going to do is fool the Saints by sending this corner off the edge. You want Drew Brees to get rid of this football quickly or perhaps get a sack on him. You're manned up right here with this tight end, so your backer is going to follow him across as well. Now what you're doing with your 5 tech, you're going to slant him hard inside. Again, try to get this tackle to squeeze because you have a corner coming fast and hot off the edge. And what you're going to do with this nose, you're going to bring him weak side A-gap, strong side A-gap, I'm sorry. You're going to bring this backer on a blitz. Boom, right down the A-gap. Why? Because now what you have is this guy rotating over, perhaps on a, let's say, if this guy wants to run a slant, Brees sees this corner coming off the edge, he wants to abandon ship and get rid of the football quickly on this skinny post or this quick slant. This backer drifting over is taking it away and perhaps could get an interception himself. So what else you're doing on the front side, contain pressure here. These guys are manned up. and he's going to bail out a little bit and drop back into a zone. He's rotating over to take away this deep crosser or this short in route. So he's now a guy that could rob these two plays coming across if Breeze wants to wait and then throw the football. If Spiller decides to stay in and pick up this corner, now Breeze wants to go to one of these two skinny posts or the slant coming across the middle of the field. The safety's in position. But let's say this guy doesn't stay in and block. Spiller still wants to run the wheel. Now you have the safety rotating over and picking him up. He can either pick it off here, or he's in great position to ride this wheel route coming down the sideline, and now this play is taken away. So this is one way, I think, versus New Orleans, Indianapolis can beat the Saints at the wrong game by sending a guy off the edge, rotating their coverage over toward the wheel route, and perhaps coming away with a turnover.
Opening up the Saints playbook is going to be important for New Orleans to avoid bust in the secondary like they did here versus Atlanta. You see right here, the simple concept by Atlanta was a crosser by Julio Jones at the bottom of the screen. The guy at the top ran a flag route. Now what Delvin Breaux was thinking was that, okay, this guy's running across the field and this other receiver is going to come back across and I will take that guy. But he didn't. He still ran the flag route, and Delvin Breaux left his guy Julio Jones wide open. In that situation, when your guy that you're expecting to come back across the field doesn't go, you stay with your man and follow him completely across the field. It now turns into a man defense, and that was a big bust in the secondary. And a lot of times they're not communicating, they are not understanding what's going on, and these type of situations can result in big plays in the passing game for Indianapolis, like it did right there for Atlanta.
So we have the Colts at Saints this week. My X factor for the Colts is going to be Frank Gore. These are two defenses that are giving up over 400 yards of offense per game, which is not good. It's hard to win when you're doing that. But as far as the Colts are concerned, Frank Gore is my X factor. He was brought in to take the pressure off of Andrew Luck, the good Andrew Luck. Now we have the bad Andrew Luck. So you definitely best believe that Frank Gore is the X factor. He's going to be the one that they're going to have to ride his back and win the game through him. He's averaging 4.5 yards a carry. He's continuing to get fully integrated into the offense. So Frank Gore is my X factor. The Saints defense is giving up 138 yards rushing a game. So the matchup is there for Frank Gore to excel in this game. As far as the Saints are concerned, my X factor is actually Willie Snead. He's come in and done what I expected Brandon Cooks to do, and that's be a downfield threat. He's averaging over 16 yards per catch, so the big plays are there with him. This defense here for the Colts is they're almost giving up 300 yards passing, so definitely an opportunity for Drew Brees and the crew to be able to take advantage of that. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Saints on the road in this one, and I have the Saints winning a shootout 35-28.
While I was happy with what Andrew Luck did last week, if I'm coaching Indianapolis, I can't have him throwing the ball 50+ times. I need to look for a way to establish a more consistent run game and allow him to be anywhere between 30 and 35 passes in a game. I think that's the sweet spot for him to not make too many mistakes. You can't rely on what we saw against New England because we have seen way too much to show us that he'll turn the ball over if you give him that many opportunities. For New Orleans, they have to continue to work the ball to multiple weapons. Allow Brandon Cooks to continue to get involved in this offense. I think that's a recipe for success, especially when you add that with the way Mark Ingram has been able to run the ball. Ultimately, I like New Orleans to win the game 24-14.
You know, with an extended week after having a huge victory on a Thursday night against the Atlanta Falcons, the New Orleans Saints are traveling to face the Indianapolis Colts, who have one of the weirdest calls of this season so far with that fake punt. So as far as a start for the New Orleans Saints, we're starting Drew Brees. Playing indoors, playing on a fast turf. Won't have any issues as it may be from the weather concerning him and should be able to put up some good numbers. As far as a sit, it's the Saints defense. Last week was great for him. We kind of expected something like that to happen if you've watched the Saints in the past. Don't think that's going to be duplicated here in Indy. As far as a start, for Indy, it's Andrew Luck. He's finally doing what a quarterback should do. Short passes get the ball in playmakers' hands, and I think he can take off and run against a soft Saints D. if necessary. As far as the sit is Dwayne Allen. They're using him more as a blocking tight end than anything else, more in line, and he's not getting any targets. A sleeper here is the Colts D. If the Saints do get behind, they could force a turnover that could end up getting them a touchdown. So that's one to watch out for if you have a defense on a bye. As far as the final score, I'm taking the Colts 29-24.
I like the Saints in this ball game. Two outstanding quarterbacks in this matchup, Drew Brees and Andrew Luck, and I do believe this game will be close, but it will ultimately come down to who can stop the run and who can run the football. And I think the Saints have the edge in both areas, so look for the ground game to be the reason why the Saints go on the road and knock off Indianapolis. And as we recap our picks, Chris James is the lone wolf this week going with the Colts. Again, it's going to be a great game, probably one of the most entertaining games of the weekend, and it should be a fun one nonetheless. And as we always say, we want to give a huge shout out to Saint fan forums and Colt fan forums for always showing football game plan support.